Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hello my dear students and welcome to a new class of English. The lesson number 12, which is going to be about listening. So in today's lesson we will listen to the key information. Our today's lesson is going to be about the listening for key information. Number 1, the first thing we want to do is you are going to listen to the detective's interview with Abdullah. Write 2 questions you think the detective will ask. After listening, we can write some questions relating to the interview, like where were you at the time of the murder? So here we have a murder, a man was killed, and the detective is interviewing Abdullah. He will ask him some questions like, where were you at the time of the murder? When did you last see Hassan? Did you know Hassan well? Hassan here is the dead man. Did you know Hassan well? Did you have a good relationship with Hassan? Has Hassan got any enemies? How is your business going? How is your work going? Do you have a key to the office? And this is the most important question here. Do you have the key or a key to the office? Who killed Hassan? Who is the doer? Who is the person who killed Hassan? Did you kill Hassan? Finally, these are possible answers of the questions. Now let's move to another thing. Read the detective's notes. Listen to part 1 of the interview. Correct the mistake in the notes and complete the last sentence. Here we don't have a cassette to listen to, but I will write the interview for you students. Here we have some notes. Did man's name Hassan called in his office at 6 p.m. Abdullah at brother's house. Here the meaning Abdullah was at his brother's house, about 30 kilometers away from office. Abdullah got home at so and so. We don't know here. Here we have notes, and as you have noticed, my dear students, the notes are not complete. We have the main words just here. After reading the notes, there is an interview. The first one, part number 1. Here the detective is interviewing Abdullah. First of all, he asked him this question. I want to go over your story again, Abdullah. Abdullah said, I'm not under suspicion, am I? No, I just need to check few things. Abdullah, all right, but I am very busy, you know. Detective, I will be as quick as I can. Now Hassan was killed in his office at 6 p.m. and you were at your brother's house at that time, weren't you? Abdullah: yeah, that's right. And that's about 30 kilometers away, isn't it? Abdullah: 35, I think. 35? What time did you get home? About 7:30. 7:30? Right. So this is the interview between Abdullah and the detective. This part is part number 1. Here the detective asked Abdullah, where were you? And how far was your brother's home about the office of Hassan? And when did you get home? These are the main questions. We have here the correction. Abdullah's house is 35 kilometers, not 30 kilometers from the office. Here, the correction is Abdullah's house is 35 kilometers. It's not 30 kilometers from the office. Missing information. Abdullah got home at 7:30. 7:30. Abdullah went home at 7:30. Now the following exercise number D, listen to part number 2 of the interview. Then answer the questions. Here we don't have a cassette to listen to, but we have the interview written, and I will show it to you. But before seeing the interview, before looking at the interview, we want to read the questions. Number 1. How many people have spoken to Abdullah about the murder? How many people have spoken to Abdullah about the murder? Number 2. According to him, according to Abdullah, was Hassan popular? Was he outgoing? Was he friendly? Was he popular? And the third question, what was Hassan like? Here we want to know the characteristics of Hassan. What was he like? Now we will see the interview number 2 or part 2. Part 2, detective. Right. Can you think of any more information about that night that might help us? Abdullah: no, I've told you everything I know. Detective: has anyone said anything to you about the murder? Only you and Raga, my secretary. You haven't spoken to anyone else about it? Let me think. No, I haven't. Who do you think killed Hassan? I don't know. There were a lot of people who didn't like him. I don't understand how the killer did it. I mean, Hassan was a big man, a strong man. Why didn't he defend himself? Abdullah said, well, he probably didn't see the killer. How can you be sure of that? Well, the knife was in his back, wasn't it? So, the killer must have stabbed him from behind. That's true. That's true. Now, after reading the part number 2 of this interview between Abdullah and the detective, let's answer the previous questions. Question number 1. Yeah? The answer of this question is 2. The detective and Raga. The detective and Raga. Yes. So the question was, how many people have spoken to Abdullah about the murder? Are they 3, 4, 2? How many? The answer is 2. 2 people. And they are the detective and Raga, the secretary. Number 2. According to Abdullah, was Hassan popular? In Abdullah's point of view, in Abdullah's opinion, was Hassan popular? No, according to him, no, he was not popular. Because he said there were a lot of people who didn't like him. There were a lot of people who didn't like him. Number 3. What was Hassan like? Here we want to describe Hassan. Yeah, Hassan was big and strong. Hassan was big and strong. After answering the questions, the 3 questions, let's do the following task. Now let's listen to the part number 3, the last one of the interview, then answer the questions. We have here also 2 questions. Number 1, who told Abdullah that the knife was in Hassan's back? Number 2, how does the detective know that Abdullah is lying? How does the interviewer know that Abdullah is lying? Lying here means doesn't tell the truth. Let's see the third part number 3 of the interview. Now we have the detective and Abdullah. The detective asked him, yeah, that's true. The knife was in his back. But how did you know that? How did you know that? You said so. No, I didn't. You are right. Raga mustn't have told me. Raga must have told me. Yes, she told me. She can't have told you because she didn't know. Well, someone must have told me then. I just can't remember who. But you said you had not spoken to anyone else. Well, You knew because you were there. Weren't you? What do you mean? You knew because you put the knife in his back. Didn't you? No. So this is the end of this part number 3. Let's answer the previous questions. Question number 1. who told Abdullah that the knife was in Hassan's back. He first claims that Raga told him, but in fact, to tell the truth, nobody told him. At the beginning of his speaking, he claims that Raga told him, but nobody told him. In fact. Number 2. How does the detective know that Abdullah is lying? How does the detective recognize that Abdullah is lying, isn't telling the truth? Because Raga doesn't know that the knife was in Hassan's back. Only the killer could know. So my dear students, did you discover who is the killer? Yes, the only person who knows where is the knife and how did Hassan kill, how was Hassan killed, is the killer. So only the killer could know the truth. So here, Abdullah is the killer. Now look at the questions from the interview. Listen to the intonation. Here we have to draw our attention carefully to the stress and unstressed words. Yeah, listen to the intonation of the underlined part of the questions. Who sounds most sure? The detective or Abdullah? Now I will read in my voice, using my voice. I am not under suspicion. Am I? You were there, weren't you? So here the detective is the most sure person, whereas Abdullah is not sure. Here we have the answers. Abdullah is not sure because the question tag has a rising intonation. So he has raised his intonation. I mean, he said, I am not under suspicion. Am I? The detective sounds most sure. The question tag has a falling intonation. The question tag here has a falling intonation. And the detective says, you were there, weren't you? Weren't you? Because he is sure that Abdullah is the killer. Abdullah killed Hassan. Now, my dear students, we can conclude our today's lesson about listening. But unfortunately, I didn't give you the cassette to listen to, and I hope in the next lessons we can get the audio cassette. But now I want to conclude the lesson saying to you all goodbye and see you in the next lesson. See you later.